Should you study grammar when learning English? Learning to use correct grammar is important if you want to speak English well. However, you don't need to memorize lots of rules or study grammar textbooks in order to do this. I'm Teacher Mike. I help adults like you learn real English that they can use in their daily lives. Today, I'm going to help you understand what you should be doing if you want to improve your grammar. First of all, what is grammar? Grammar is basically just a system, or the rules that we use to create sentences that other people can understand easily. I already have a video in which I talk about that in a lot more detail and also answer the question, is grammar important? So if you haven't seen that video yet, you might want to watch that one before you continue watching this one. But you're probably watching this video because you already know what grammar is, you think it's important, and you want to know how to improve yours. So, should you study grammar? I do not believe that all adults need to study grammar, but I do believe that most adults should study grammar. Basically, many people will find it useful to study grammar, but it's definitely not necessary. Learning to use correct grammar is important if you want to speak English well. However, you don't need to memorize lots of rules or study grammar textbooks in order to do this. Again, I do think that most adults should spend some time studying grammar directly by doing things like memorizing rules and studying grammar textbooks. This is because although you don't need to know why we say things the way that we do, knowing why is usually better than not knowing why. So if you have time to spend learning grammar rules and you enjoy doing it, then yeah, you should do it. However, this is not the main way that I recommend learning grammar. Think about it. You probably spent years learning grammar this way in school and still find it very difficult to use correct grammar in conversation. It's good to learn and understand rules, but understanding rules does not guarantee that you will be able to use them in real life. This is why seeing, hearing, and using correct grammar again and again is much more important than learning grammar rules. When you see or hear something interesting, write it down. Try creating some of your own sentences using the same structure, and practice saying those sentences during your daily speaking practice. Maybe you hear someone say, "I will be traveling to Vietnam next month," and you have never heard "I will be traveling" before. Write down that sentence, and then write some of your own sentences. You won't know exactly why you are using that grammar, but from that sentence, it's clear that you can use it to talk about travel plans. So, write a few sentences about travel plans. For example, I will be visiting my mother in a few days. I will be staying at the Sheraton this weekend. I will be traveling to Morocco next month. Write those sentences down, practice saying them during your daily speaking practice, and look for opportunities to use them in your daily life. This way, you will have useful phrases and full sentences that you can use easily in the future without having to stop to think about grammar rules. And because you haven't learned exactly why we use will be verb ing, you might use it incorrectly sometimes. However, learning things this way, and sometimes using them incorrectly, is still usually more useful than focusing on rules. Focusing on rules means that you have to stop to think about rules during conversation, and this makes it difficult to speak fluently. And as you continue using and hearing the language again and again, you will get a better understanding of when it's correct to use it and when it is incorrect to use it. You might not be able to explain why you are using it, but you will begin to notice when it feels right and when it doesn't. Being able to use something correctly 75% of the time, but not knowing why you are using it, is usually a lot better than knowing why people use something, but not being able to use it in real situations. Who would you want on your football team? Someone who has hundreds of hours of experience playing football with their friends, but has never read a book about football? Or someone who has read lots of books about football, but has never actually played the game before? You would probably want the person who has learned from experience, because when we are talking about skills, repetition and practice are usually a lot more important than knowledge. In my opinion, reading, listening, copying the things that you see and hear, and practicing using them regularly in conversation is a lot more useful than studying grammar textbooks and memorizing rules. So if you really want to improve your grammar, here are the two main things that I recommend doing. 1. You need to start reading and listening more. The more you see and hear correct grammar, the easier it will be for you to remember what is correct and what is not. 2. Find ways to practice using the things that you see and hear. You don't get good at speaking by reading or listening. You get good at speaking by practicing speaking. If you want to be able to use the grammar that you have learned in real conversation, you need to practice using it during your daily speaking practice. But again, I do think that most adults should spend some time studying grammar directly. Having knowledge of grammar rules is definitely better than not having it. However, being able to use language in conversation is more important than being able to explain why we use it. And that is why you should spend more time reading, listening, and practicing, and less time memorizing rules. If you found this video useful, please don't forget to give it a like. And if you're not sure about how to practice speaking, I recommend watching this video right here, which is about 8 ways that you can practice speaking English even if you don't have a partner. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.